Welcome back to the Hearse Chaser podcast show. We're doing a different type of episode this time. We're talking about estate planning, but this time we're going to tell you why you shouldn't do an estate plan. This is going to be the Devil's Advocate podcast. So if you've been thinking about doing estate planning for years and you just want some comfort knowing all the reasons why you should keep procrastinating, this is the episode for you. We're going to give you the encouragement to keep waiting and waiting and waiting in a sarcastic kind of way. Welcome back to the Hearse Chaser podcast show.
You're listening to the Hearse Chaser podcast show. Here's your host, Stephen McClellan.
All right, so we wanted to do something a little different today and tackle why you shouldn't do an estate plan, making the case for delay. So buckle up. This is 100% completely against my nature, but I think as we go through this, there's some good nuggets to take out of it, because a lot of times people do often wait years and years and years, and so we're going to tell you what it's like, what actually happens when you wait and wait and wait. So please note, don't take this out of context. This comes with a serious warning label. Do not take this true, right? This is like opposite day. I have children, and they love to play opposite day, and it's a game that just, thankfully, opposite days, one day a week. I never know which day of the week it is with them, but here we go. Okay, so the very first thing is, when it comes to not planning, is how much people love surprises, especially your family, right? There is nothing better than you leaving this earth and your kids have no idea who's in charge, who gets what, just a surprise, all kinds of surprises. So you could, of course, write where things are. You could put the right people in charge. But it's so much better, right, for them to just sit around arguing what you wanted. In fact, you could just confuse them. You could say one thing and do another thing. And I've seen that before. That seems like a great method. You say, oh, you're in charge, but the documents say something else. I don't know why, but this is really hard to do opposite day, devil's advocate. But sure, let's just confuse them. Let's just tell kids what they want to hear. Yes, I have a plan in place, but when you really don't, okay? And this has actually happened. What I'm saying is not just a devil's advocate position, but people have literally done this. They've told their kids, hey, oh, you don't have to worry about it. Everything is taken care of. When the truth is they never even sought out an attorney. So surprises are great, right? What is better than one more surprise, just leaving it a mess? I think it's in fact, I've had children. Children have come into my office and have said these two things. One, either mom and dad is rolling in their grave with the mess they left if they would have known. And I've had other kids say, I bet they're just laughing, having a great old time, just seeing this mess. And this is true. I think if you are the type of person who loves chaos and loves a mess, this is great. Just do nothing. Or tell them you've done something. Scribble some things out. Just leave an absolute mess. I'm sure they will love that. Those surprises, that mess. Let's just leave them a mess, okay? Okay, the second thing is my favorite of not planning. Lawyers are so fun at family reunions. I mean, don't you just love having attorneys around? I can say the people that are in the attorneys that do estate planning, I see a lot of them are generally older. You know, I don't know that they'd be the life of the party, but yeah, bring them in. Let's let the family get to know the attorney, and just have a meeting at the attorney's office. And there's nothing better than just having more people there and having a party. expensive party. But I can tell you, you really don't want us in your family. I mean, I have my own family. I don't need to be at anyone else's family reunion. I really don't need to get to know that many people. And I think without planning, you're just going to have an attorney learn a lot more things than they had to about this and that. So, yeah, if you like lawyers being in your family and you like family reunions, you shouldn't do an estate plan. Okay, that's a great way. Oh, here's a great reason not to do an estate plan, of course, is that you are immortal, and planning is for mortals, and so you'll never expire. You'll just keep going on, living and living and living, and so there's no reason to plan, right? I find that people, you might joke about it, but that's the way some people are living. Some folks who are the folks who are over 80, statistically 20% of them have never done an estate plan. Overall, I think it's half of Americans have never done an estate plan, but yeah, when you get to 80, that number should be 0, right? You've had plenty of time to sit down with an attorney, spend a few hours of the thousands of hours you have in life, and here you are in your 80s not planning. So it is so much better to simply not worry about it, because you are going to be the first person on earth not to die. You're going to be immortal, and your estate will just continue to accumulate, right? That's a great reason to not do an estate plan. All right. Who doesn't love taxes, right? Let's not worry about what the tax implications of different distributions will be. Let's just go ahead and give that money however it goes and not plan for any of that. The government wants more money, so I think the government has an interest in you not planning. So, I mean, really here, what matters more? I'm saying this sarcastically: giving the government more, your family more. I mean, obviously, people love to give the government more. That's why they don't plan. I mean, it sounds great. You love your country. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask how much money you can give your country. Pay more taxes. Everybody loves that, and maybe your estate plan should be set up the same way, so you can leave more to the government. The IRS loves a nice payday. Let's let them have a bigger one by not planning for the future. This is probably the best reason you should never do an estate plan, is you should just trust the government. The government's got a plan for you. They've got a plan. In the event that you die, they have a plan. It's called the intestate statute, and that's probably good enough, right? I'm sure you trust the elected officials in your state that have put together a plan, a will for you. And you should just go along with what they've said, because we love our politicians. We trust them. We know they have our best interests at heart, and you should not plan, because we should trust them. I mean, they've gone to all that work to put a plan together. Why should you spend any more time and say you want things done differently? Okay, so of all the things I've said, that's probably the hardest sarcastic thing to say, is trust the government. Let them manage your things. But anyway, that one hurt. Okay, you shouldn't plan your estate. You shouldn't talk to an attorney, because your ex probably deserves another shot at your assets. Yeah, maybe maybe it just makes sense to keep things the way they were, and give something back to your ex. They probably deserve a little bit more. So let's not look over those assets. Let's not plan. Let's not protect things, because of course we should give things to the exes. That one hurts too.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hearse Chaser podcast show. Our mission is to be your first choice for last wishes. Want to dive deeper? Join us over at the Hearse Chaser Academy, where we've created 8 on-demand courses for each stage of life. From young adulthood to retirement, navigating separation or blended families, and everything in between, we help you plan for the future, no matter where you're at. Now stay with us as the ride continues on the Hearse Chaser podcast show.
Oh, here's a great reason to plan. A reason not to plan. A reason not to plan is you haven't talked to your child in 20 years. Yeah, they should get half your estate. Let's show them, right? Let's give them half of everything you have. Let's give them everything. The one that has had nothing to do with you. That's a great reason to plan. And not plan, right? Because that's the default. Because the default in most states is it's going to go evenly to the kids. And so that's a great reason not to plan. Just let's let children who have nothing to do with us get the things they want. Another great reason to not plan, this is so hard. I'm not used to this, is let's just let whoever can convince the judge puts in charge, okay? Because we know judges never make mistakes. They never appoint the wrong person. And I'm sure the judge is going to, in that 15 or 30-minute hearing or an hour hearing, I'm sure they're going to see right through that person that we don't trust. I trust a judge to see through that. And, of course, the kid that I would want to be appointed as a personal representative, they're going to be appointed. You should have no concerns that a judge would get it wrong. They're just infallible. And of course, another thing is you shouldn't worry about the child who has caused problems for years and years and years and disagreed with you and fought with their siblings and married the wrong person. Yeah, you shouldn't worry about them. There's no reason to worry. That person is never going to cause any conflict. Like, why should you ever do an estate plan? People, I'm sure when you're gone, they're going to respect your wishes and say, no, really, it is the most responsible child who should be appointed. And, the judge will see the one who should be appointed. I guess this is how people think. Or, I don't know. This struggle. Oh, here's another one. You shouldn't plan your estate because you would just love to give more money to attorneys than your kids. Because that's kind of the truth. If you don't plan, the person who's making the most money is attorneys. And you shouldn't plan for that reason. Okay, so that was really hard to do, being devil's advocate. Here are some statistics. They say 50% of Americans have no estate plan. I think some say 67. It kind of depends what survey that you use. I don't think enough people actually sit down with an attorney on a regular basis and update things as things change. And so I don't know what to take with those numbers. I just know that when I see people, often for the first time in their 60s and 70s, they've just never done anything. It's the first time to do it. And I see, when they say that, I see this a little bit of guilt. They feel a little bit ashamed. Like, we knew we had to do something. We just never did it. And 60 years just flew by. And I understand that. I get that. That is life. Life is so full of these distractions, and they suck up your time. And I'm not saying they're all bad, but here I am. I'm advocating for people having a plan and getting things in order. And when they don't, you're subject to a lot of concerns. Probate court, for example. Nobody wants probate in their life, but if you're stuck in probate, you could be looking at 9 to 18 months on average for a probate case. In fact, I was just in Vegas. I was in Vegas last week with a group of attorneys. I go to a number of these masterminds where we, as estate planning attorneys, get together and we talk about best practices, what we can do to help our clients, serve them better, educate them better. And probate's a mess. It doesn't really matter what state you're in. It's still a mess. My state is worse. than other states. I was talking to a buddy of mine in Tennessee. Their creditor period in probate's 4 months. Ours is 6 months, and so that just lends to things being drug out, and fees can eat up a part of the estate, depending on kind of what the state laws say. I found this statistic that families with no plan are 2 times more likely to face legal conflict. That makes absolute sense. Even when there is a clear plan and it's very clear who gets what and who's in charge, people still fight those things. They still argue, well, that's not what mom really wanted. And I say, well, look, you can take that battle up with some other firm. We're not. We, as a law firm, if it was written down, this is what mom or dad wanted, that's what we're going to tell the judge is what was the client wanting. And a lot of times people will ask us questions. They'll say, okay, you're doing my estate plan. Can somebody contest this estate plan? And I always tell them this same straightforward answer. Of course, anybody can contest an estate plan. The real question is, are they going to be likely to prevail? Do they have good merits? And when you have an attorney, it raises the bar on the professionalism, and you have an attorney that outlives you, who can stand by their work. That's important to have an attorney younger than you. It's also important to note that a lot of our estate plans have no contest clauses, which, if they did contest it, they wouldn't get anything. So those are the kinds of things you can do to set your family up for success and not, just set them up for failure or for a mess. So it really comes as we transition to the end. It's why don't people plan? Oftentimes, I think there are 3 big reasons that they don't plan. One is fear. They are concerned that when it gets out of their head and they write down what they want, it becomes real. The idea of life's shortness, that it really is like a breath. It's here and gone. I mean, it feels different when you've done things. People have a sense of mind, and in some ways, I think it provides peace of mind, clarity on how things work. You can always amend things and change things later. There is no statistical proof that doing an estate plan hastens your life, hastens the end of your life. Now, it's probably true that in many cases people do estate planning early, before they die. In a lot of cases, because people get diagnosed with something before they have a risky surgery, and they do an estate plan ahead of time if something happens, or they do it later in life when they're 80. And so the time between doing an estate plan and death, that time would be an interesting statistic to figure out, well, what is that? And but it's not like it hastens it in any way. I think procrastination is the biggest thing, because there's a million other things that are more exciting than estate planning. And that would be spending time with your family. That would be traveling. That would be mowing your yard, tending to your garden. Even watching grass grow, I think, is probably more exciting. Except I did have a client one time who was more excited about estate planning than I was. I couldn't believe. He was just really, really excited about it. And of course, the cost. I think it's important here to know the difference between the word price and cost. Price is what you pay. Cost is what the kids pay. So the cost will always be higher if you don't pay the price today. Okay, this ounce of prevention is worth a weight in gold of preparing for the future. At the end, you could leave it all to chance if you want to. There are some clients that they're not clients. There are people who put their head in the sand. They don't worry about it. They just leave it to chance. But I don't think winging it or leaving it to chance is really what we're called to do. We are here, hopefully, to take care of our families and set them up for success. That's what we do. And that's a big point of our firm, is to help people realize that it is doable, that it is a great gift you can leave your family. So from the Hearse Chaser, do not walk but run to your nearest estate planning attorney. Get something done. Something is better than nothing, and it will save a huge headache for your friends. And again, I don't think you want lawyers at your family reunion. Thanks for being with us on another episode of the Hearse Chaser podcast show. Thanks for riding along, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Hearse Chaser podcast show. Please remember, you can't outrun a hearse, but you can leave your family with a smooth ride.